Greetings, I'm Brian from RC Workboat Haven. In this video, we're going to look at something that's a lot more modern. I've taken a 28-inch plastic, inexpensive powerboat design, and I've made it fully proportional and given it a look to simulate a sport fisherman and possibly a charter boat. So let's take a quick walk around the outside of this hull. I've added an anchor and two cleats up forward, navigation lights, life rings, and the most obvious structure is this canopy made of fiberglass supported by a metal structure, fishing poles. I've relocated this navigation post from the original position to the top of the canopy. I've added self-inflating life rafts, and I've added a tow bar. This after area has been modified so that I can loosen off a tab and then remove this section. The top area lifts off here, and I have good access to the interior of the boat. The power drive system has been changed from two propellers that only operate in forward. So now this model has full power forward and reverse and is fully proportional. So before I go into any more detail about the modifications, let's take this cruiser down to the lake and see how she does in the water. Thanks for watching. So here's to Salina down at the lake. Very overcast day. It does behave like a real powerboat. Nice turning ability. So she's a great little boat for just playing around a dock. It's certainly no high-speed racer. Very maneuverable. Now I do have full reverse, but if I were to use it, I'm pretty sure I'd swamp the whole cockpit area. I'll bring the model past the dock, at full speed and then put it in reverse. Let's see what happens. Whoa, it'll stop in its own length. Try that again. So I guess in a sense it has brakes. Whoop. Well, there's no question she's a fun boat to just play with down at the dock. It's not overly fast, but it is somewhat in proportion to a full-size powerboat. It has an 8.4 volt battery in it that is brand new and fully charged. But I think basically what you see is what you get with this setup the way I have it now. I'm going to bring it in, and I'm also going to check the temperature on that motor. Let's see what we've done. I think it's starting to slow down a bit. So I'll just undo this little tab right here, and I'll loosen off my tab here. So this comes off. Still got the boat on. Take this off here. So the ESC is still working fine in there. And I'm just going to touch the motor. Woo! I read somewhere that if you can hold your finger on the motor for between 3 and 5 seconds, it's okay. 1, 2, whoa! I think it's pretty hot. So I'm just going to let this cool down a little bit, and I'll switch the battery out to another one and see if I get any different performance. And just for comparison, here's a 7.4 volt battery. It is noticeably slower. But you can still get by with some entertainment in a pinch. And here's the original 8.4 battery that I started off with in the video. There she goes. So that was a nice little trip down to the lake. I ran most of the video on an 8.4 volt battery. I did a short section at the end of the power test using what I described as a 7.4 battery. It was not. It was a 7.2 volt standard battery. But it goes to show you the difference that a little bit of voltage makes with a single DC motor. Let's take a really quick look at the instructions that came with the original stock hull. So here's the original Salina instruction page. The boat is made of a styrene type plastic, and it's made by Heng Long, which is a Chinese company. It's item number 3867. It's about 28 inches overall. It comes with numerous decals all over the model. As you can see, there is no canopy or any work done up here, but that's the basic model. Now on the other side of this page, there was a little guideline here on how the original stock boat was propelled. It had 2 counter-rotating props with 2 380 can motors. And when both props were turning, the boat would go in a straight line here. But if the port propeller was stopped and the starboard one kept turning, the boat would move to port, and then the opposite to move to starboard. So this actually worked pretty good. It wasn't really a disappointment when I took the original model out the first time that the boat had no reverse. and that meant that I couldn't maneuver the boat around a dock and so on. So right away I thought, well, it was fun, it worked, no question, and it was kind of ingenious the way they did it, but I decided to go to fully proportional using standard parts and a standard method. Now, the most noticeable thing you see here about this modification is this little canopy I've put up here. Now, that canopy was not specially made for this model. I had in the past built a mold to make this particular part, and I was going to use this as hatch covers that could be turned this way and that way on different projects. It also will pass as the roof of a pilot house, and it has a nice shape. The original one was made of basswood and so on, so I made a plug and then I made a mold. And I had a couple of these in my box, and I just took one out and thought I would adapt that because I thought the proportions were fairly good and the color was right on. That's a white gel coat. So I didn't really have any way of making a structure to hold this canopy up. I had this umbrella from the dollar store, and I noticed that it had a bunch of parallel parts and so on like this. And these parts are just mild steel, and they're pressed into a U section. And I thought, you know what? This could be modified so that this forms the framework to hold up the canopy. And that's what I did. I just cut the ends off, flattened them off in a vise, and drilled 3mm holes through these parts, and ended up with an aerial and a passable look for stainless steel superstructure. And on the stern, I used the same material and just bolted that on, forming an X pattern, which made the whole thing quite rigid. It turned out to be very well balanced and strong, and I can lift the whole boat up. In fact, I use this as a handle, and it is extremely light. That's the big plus side. I didn't want to put too much weight aloft on this, and I had no issues whatsoever with the balance of the boat. These items here have just been painted with a latex paint and covered with a layer of varathane. I modified this after area so it would provide access below. So I have a tab that I release, and this section comes out. Now this was all fixed in place on the original stock model. So I cut out this area here with a hacksaw blade and then raised up kind of a combing, like a hatch combing, around the edge here, and then formed out of basswood a piece that fit over it, and CA glued this all together and made a section that lifts out. On the interior, I removed all of the original mechanical gear, the motor mounts and so on, and the great thing about this Salina model, like other Heng Long models, is that everything unscrews. There was very little actual cutting involved to get it all cleaned out. And then I went ahead and just used a single motor mount, an electronics pod box, a battery bed, MG995 servo, the same items and method used in the bad weather ship build and my other builds. The rudder, I did use a pre-made item that I got off eBay, and it has a brass tube, a 3mm shaft, and a servo arm, and that's worked out fine. It's not lubricated, and it has bushings instead of bearings. And here's the propeller shaft coming through the hull, surrounded by epoxy. There's a skeg made of 1/8 by 3/16 flat bar. There's the stock rudder off eBay, and I'm using a 42mm diameter prop. It's a right-hand prop, and I have a right-hand thread here. So if you want to see how I do this, check out my bad weather ship build. So for me, this Salina mod was a fun and entertaining experience, and very affordable. Thanks for watching.